I'm just gonna wait till we get some people in here before I start the show. Before I start the show. Yo, what it do, Monster Mo Shady? What the business? Gonna wait till we get a little bit more people. Oh, there's K Judah. What it do? What it do? What it do? Can't wait to get that shirt, homie. Can't wait. Can't wait. See if we can get a little bit more people up in here before I start the shizzo. Yeah, nah, no hearts up in here, man. No hearts, man. Leave that to the females. So what y'all up to, man? How y'all day was? Hope it was blessed and highly favored. Mine's was good. I had an early start to my weekend yesterday. I just played video games, man. I was just getting caught up on God of War because that new one's supposed to be coming out this year, they say. So I just wanted to beat it again so I can be caught up on the story. And today, I don't know, man. I just got a new book that just came in called Race Cold War. It's by Kari Inaharo. Basically, it says the power of words, images, and symbols on the black psyche. Basically, going in on all the stuff that the white people put out towards us and how it affects our thinking. I can't wait to get through this book. How many pages is this? 373. Yeah, 373 pages. Can't wait. I finished that other book that Eve recommended. What's the name of that other book? Oh, yeah, the Interracial Con or something like Con Game. I finished that book, I think, a couple days ago. Man, that book was fire. Highly suggest y'all go read that book. You can get it off of Amazon Kindle. You can read it right there on your device. You don't even got to wait to get it shipped in. You can read it right there on your phone. It's like 400 and something pages, almost 500 pages of pure fire. Man, it changed the whole way I think about these white folks, man. Like, I move differently when it comes to them, especially at work now. I move differently when it comes to talking and interacting with these people, man. I don't interact with them like I used to. Before I used to, I can chat with them, start up a conversation or whatnot. I don't even start up a conversation no more, man. I don't say nothing. If it don't got nothing to do with work or nothing like that, I don't say nothing. I got nothing to say. Zero. That's how it is, man. When the world was black. I think I had that book in my cart. I had that book in my Amazon cart. I was going to get it. I was like, and then this other book had showed up that I ended up buying instead of that one. I put that in the safe for later. I'm probably going to buy it this week or so when I get paid or whatnot. But yeah, that book looks good too. The When the World Was Black. And then there was a Black Invention book too. I want to get to. It's like $20, I believe. And yeah, man, that book looked fire. But I ended up getting another book called Addicted to White. It's by Dr. Jerome E. Fox. I think his name is Jerome E. Fox. Yeah. That book looked good too, man. I was like, yeah, let me get that. I think it was like $20 for the paperback version. There's only one version. But yeah, that book should be coming tomorrow. So I got me some good reading to do over this little weekend that I got. Hey, salute, Sister Na Maria. How you doing? Salute, Akbin, my brother. How are y'all doing today? Yeah, I definitely want to get that Black Invention book because I want to show these Christians. Woo! And there's another couple of books on Kindle. You know, on Amazon, they have this program or whatnot. It's called Kindle Unlimited, and you pay. It's like you get a 30-day free trial, and whatever books they have on that program, you get to read it on your phone for free. It's like $9.99 a month after the 30-day trial. But they got a lot of Israelite Black history books on there that you can read for free, fam. I'm just giving y'all some free game. That shit is good. I'm reading a book called right now. What is it called? It's called The Gentiles. Who are they according to the Bible? Basically, it's going over who the Gentiles was, who Paul was writing to, who Peter was writing to, James, who they was writing those letters to. Because the Christians like to think they were writing those letters to white people. But that is inherently false. Yeah, so I'm reading this book. 218 pages. I'm on page 13. I just started it earlier today, and so I'm going to read through that book. This book looked fire so far, man. I'm like, all right, because a lot of people like to confuse who the Gentiles really were, who they like to talk about in the New Testament, and a lot of white people like to confuse, like, oh, they were talking to us. No, sorry, white folk, you're not in this book. You're not in this book. You're not in this book. I'm sorry. Now you could cleave to us and everything like that, and you can get the blessings and everything, but you're not in the covenant. Sorry, you do not have a covenant with our Yah. The covenant was only with Israel only. You guys can cleave, you guys can be blessed, and you guys can be nice handmaidens and hand servants in the kingdom, but sorry, you're not getting the blessings. Those are only bestowed upon Israel. And white people, woo, they get mad when you tell them that, boy. Ooh, they go off the hinges. That racism comes through. But I ain't gonna get in. I can rant on that one for days, but I ain't finna get into that. I don't think I want to get into that or whatever. But I see we got some people in here. So, without further ado, let's start the show, shall we? Wake up, Jacob. Wake up, Jacob. Wake up, Jacob. Hey, wake up, nigga. We behind the veil with Bezale'el. Yeah, we behind the veil with Bezale'el. Reporting news from my father, that's the warning mail. To repent and come back to him before he send that ass to hell. We behind the veil with Bezale'el. Yeah, we behind the veil with Bezale'el. Reporting news from my father, that's the warning mail. To repent and come back to him before he send that ass to hell. Yeah, just look at the destruction. This wouldn't have to happen if we followed his instruction. Hard head and stiff neck, that's how you scrap your people. Blending with the nation, starting to become like the sheep. Both the end times are here, we no longer need to hide, cause the Elohim of Yasharel about to save his bride. Pestilence, plagues, and every manner of creation. He about to send these heathen on a permanent vacation. Wake up, Jacob. Wake up, Jacob. Wake up, Jacob. Hey, wake up, nigga. We behind the veil with Bezale'el. Yeah, we behind the veil with Bezale'el. Reporting news from my father, that's the warning mail. To repent and come back to him before he send that ass to hell. We behind the veil with Bezale'el. Yeah, we behind the veil with Bezale'el. Reporting news from my father, that's the warning mail. To repent and come back to him before he send that ass to hell.
40 years of struggle. Think by now, you think that it's time to go. Been struggling for a minute, let it go, let it go. Been hurting for a minute, let it go, let it go. Been crying for a minute, let it go, Go ahead, we crushing that go ahead. Folks led off cliffs, no waking, they folk dead. Spoke red in the cycle, they wheel with broke tread. Folks said unwritten, they spitting with broke lead. Babylon is confusion of faces, the corruption consumed by the nations. Enemies of the saints, disturbations prophesied in the revelations. Pain, our mothers weep while we sheep for the slaughter. Pride me for Babylon's daughter. Melanated millions in the mortars. They scourge the earth, but now rebirth has come to all us. 400 years, anytime, let it go. Watching Babylon fall, and the many mighty more. Go, 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 go. 400 years, anytime, let it go. Watching Babylon fall, and the many mighty more. Go, 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 go. 400 years, anytime, let it go. Watching Babylon fall, and the many mighty more. Time to go, but they say ain't no love lost. You calling that love, but that love costs. All the lives from the blood on the wood cross. White hoods, torches in the wood with the wood cross. In the hood dogs, understood, so we lost what was good from them hoods and into a loss. Dry bones, they broke laws and smitten. Seems hardcore, but just cause is written. But time's up, no more waiting on the sidelines. Rise up, we jumping from the foul line, leaving what's wicked in the foul mind. The people stricken, gods are wicked and they defile mine. These defile vines, fruitless. Them tricks of them whitewashed pigs got us on blind. 400 years of death, now that's a long time. Babylon's time is done, so leave the confine. 400 years, anytime, let it go. Watching Babylon fall, let the many mighty more. Go, 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 go. 400 years, anytime, let it go. Watching Babylon fall, and the many mighty more. Go, 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 go. 400 years, anytime, let it go. Watching Babylon fall, and the many mighty more. Go.
Shalom, 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 shalom to the 12 tribes scattered around the world and beyond the Euphrates. I am your host, Bezale'el Ben Yahudah. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Veil. This is episode 13. The song you just heard was called 400 Years Go by the Ock Joshua Cullens. Go support him. He dropped some fire shit. I ain't gonna lie. But yes, today on the Gregorian calendar is Wednesday, January 26, 2000, quote unquote, 22. It's still cold out here. It's still cold. No New Year yet, y'all. It was 6 degrees yesterday. 6 degrees last night. Man, it was cold in the house. I had to have the heat, Miami style, so I wouldn't freeze. Man, Most High ain't playing. What we got on the docket? Hey, I don't know if y'all heard, but yesterday Haiti had another earthquake. Another earthquake. They need to drop the idols over there. That voodoo is gonna kill that. That voodoo is going to kill them all. At least 2 killed, 50 injured after a 5.3 earthquake in series of aftershocks hit Haiti. What y'all doing over there? What are they doing? 75,000 people are estimated to have felt very strong shaking. 114,000 felt strong shaking. 189,000 felt moderate shaking. And 2.88 million felt light shaking. I don't know what they doing over there. It says at least 191 homes were destroyed and another 591 damaged. 50 people between the ages of 15 and 23 were in a state of shock and taken to the hospital. At least 2 people have died. Most High pouring fury upon his people still. Y'all better let it go out there. He ain't playing with y'all Negroes, man. Let it go. Put down the voodoo idols. Y'all getting fucked. And in other news, severe floods and landslide have left 34 people dead, 64,000 affected in Madagascar. The passage of tropical cyclone Anna together with the intertropical convergence zone caused prolonged heavy rains in Madagascar. Anna was still a tropical depression when it moved over Madagascar on January 22nd, further exacerbating severe floods caused by the intertropical convergence zone since January 17th. Anna caused severe floods and landslides in Madagascar, affecting more than 64,000 people in 7 regions. Severe rainfall event dumped several months worth of rain. Woo! Damn. More than 6,800 homes are underwater, and many others are at risk of flooding or collapsing. This is out there in Africa. Nope. Mozambique is right there off the tip of on the southwest side, southeast side of Africa. Boy, Most High ain't playing, boy. Fury is all poured out. We got another northeaster coming up toward the northeast United States. So from the Carolinas all the way up to through Maine. I don't know if any Hebrews out there are listening right now who are up there, but caution. It's supposed to be happening this weekend. Several feet of snow, rain, ice is in the forecast. So I hope y'all feel safe out there. Gusts of wind, blizzard conditions out there. They're calling it another bomb cyclone. Boy, the Most High is just relentless this winter. Me personally, I haven't seen it. Like even last year winter in Missouri, it wasn't even like this, man. Missouri, I could probably count on maybe one hand how many days we probably had of single-digit temperatures. We've already had a whole bunch of that. Pretty much, it's been like that at least once or twice a week. We've had these wind chills under 0 degrees here in Missouri, man. The Most High is just fucking with these heathen, man. I'm gonna tell you, they are just getting fucked. And they are just complaining and complaining. They don't know what's going on. But everybody's blaming it on, quote unquote, climate change. Climate change is what they call it, right? Climate change is what they call it. But we all know this is the Most High. He is in the storm. He is in the tempest, in the winds. Out there on January 24th, emergency alerts issued, schools closed as below freezing temperatures and heavy snow hit Greece. We all know that's another ancient enemy. Says temperatures across the country started falling last Saturday, followed by heavy snow and frost. Authorities sent out emergency alerts to cell phones in the wider Athens area on Monday morning, warning of severe snowfall over the next few hours and calling on people to avoid any unnecessary movement. Rare snow was even reported on the island of Mykonos on Sunday, January the 23rd. Everybody getting hit with something. The whole world getting hit with shit. Whole world, man, I tell you. I love the Most High. I love the Most High. Still got fires out there in California. They still can't contain them. Most High is just taking away everything. It's taking away everything out there, boy. I tell you, God damn. When I read these things, man, all I see is judgment, man. That's all I see. I don't see nothing else. And the heathen out there, they try to stop it. They try to stop it, but the Most High always comes with something else. They stop one thing here, and another event happens on another side of the country. I mean, it's just unrelenting. The heathen are just getting worn out. Firemen are worn out. This pandemic is wearing them out. Nurses are worn out. Doctors are worn out. They think they stop it, and then another variant comes. It's like playing whack-a-mole, a never-ending game of whack-a-mole. And we all know the Most High just sitting up there laughing. I know he laughing. I know Most High got a sense of humor. I know he up there laughing, y'all. Up there laughing. We got the people in the land there that they're now number one in you know what cases per capita. And they're the most jabbed country in the world. But they're the number one in the world of having cases. Proving all those draconian jabs, lockdowns, and restrictions are utterly worthless and stupid. The people in the quote-unquote land, no. Still hilarious though. I think they think that small place is the land out there. I don't think that's the land out there. The land is a lot larger than what they say it should be. I mean, y'all said it's supposed to be a whole desolate wilderness out there. I believe it's a whole lot larger than what it is. All that desert, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, all that's our land too, man. Anything all that desert is around, that's our land. That whole thing is our land. I was listening to a show on YouTube by a channel called Israel's Church, and Brother Reggie was going in. I think the lesson was about, what was the lesson about? I think it was about the wilderness and whatnot. He was going in about, the true nature of how big our land is and what actually is our land from the Nile all the way to Euphrates, and he made a map and included all of those Middle Eastern countries. So that little small sliver of land they call the land is not the land. It's a lot larger than what they say it is. Saudi Arabia, Iraq, that entire desert area, Dubai, all of them. That is the whole land. Because he said it's it's desolation, it's a wilderness, nothing growing out there. And then when he comes back on the scene, Yahushua HaMashiach comes back down on the scene. Satan's trying to fuck with my shit today, boy. I tell you, man. Trying to cut my mic off today, man. I don't know what's going on. But anyways, yeah. So all that stuff out there is going to sprout all kind of all that is going to sprout vegetation and trees. It's going to look like the fucking Garden of Eden out there. See, right now it's desolate. Even in Israel, they can't grow nothing. They got to recycle piss water. They can't grow nothing because the Most High has cursed the land. Cursed the land. Now, until we come back in the land, the true people, us, the Negroes, come back into the land, it's going to be a desert. When we come back in the land's going to rejoice. It's going to sprout vegetation all over. What the heck is going on? It's going to be no more stuff. It's going to be no more desert. It's going to be straight up greenery. And that's the bottom line because Most High said so. So anyways, this lesson today that we're going to do is going to be about who are the true Jews? Those white people or us, who we've been saying all along, who is waking up right now. We are waking up right now. All over the world, Negroes are waking up saying, we Israel, calling them, changing their name to Israel, as they said in the scriptures. And we're going to change our names and everything. We're going to call ourselves Jacob. We're going to call ourselves Israel. We're all doing it. We all got a portion of Yah's name somewhere in our names, our new Hebrew names that we have made for ourselves. We no longer want to be called by our quote unquote Babylonian names. We want to go by the names, our true names. And all praise to Most High for giving us this knowledge, this wisdom, stirring up the Ruach HaKodesh within his people to see the truth. So that's what we're going to go over today. Who the real Jews? Because a lot of people, majority of the world, they think the people in the land right now are the true Jews. But I'm going to show you that they ain't. They are not the true Jews. So let's get started, baby. Now, I'm getting all my source from this site called blackhistory.neocities.org. Great site. True history. True stuff. We're going to read from, it's called Black Jews versus Fake White Jews. And that's what we're going to read from today. So I hope y'all are ready. We're going to be reading from them. We're going to have some, I'm going to open up my Bible. And we going in today. Give me 1 second. Let me open it up. I'm going to open up. Yeah, give me a second here. Excuse me. Hey, didn't get all my Sam's in here. All right. I'm just opening my Bible, trying to get this Bible app on my phone so we can read alongside it. Because a lot of them don't have the verses. So I am going to have it on my phones here. All right. So starting off here. Says here, in mapping out the genealogies down to Noah, Genesis 5:32 states that he was 500 years old when he begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Genesis 6:9 reads, these are the generations of Noah, indicating that Noah's genes had not been racially mixed at that point, but had come straight down. And this is why Yah said that he was perfect in his generations. The word for generation in Hebrew is, I'm not going to try to pronounce that because I have no idea. It says, which means genealogy or birth. It says, most scholars would like you to believe that Shem, Ham, and Japheth, born of the same father Noah and mother Naamah, or through another wife, gave birth to 3 different races of children, which is stupid. I don't know how people can get that mixed up. It says Genesis 10:6 continues, and the sons of Ham, Sudan, Cush, Ethiopia, Mizraim, Egypt, Put, Carthage, and Libya, and Canaan, who was cursed and settled outside of Africa in the region of the so-called Middle East. The family is traced through the Bible in an unbroken chain to David, who then violates the law by marrying a Canaanite, which was strictly forbidden by Elohim according to Genesis 24:3-4. So let's read what 24:3-4 says here. Genesis 24:3-4 says here, and I will make thee swear by Yah, the Elohim of earth and the Elohim of the earth, of heaven and the Elohim of the earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I dwell, But thou shalt go unto my country and to my kindred and take a wife unto my son Isaac. So, of course, David violates that. Says, which issued a command not to marry outside one's own kindred so as not to corrupt the perfect genealogy or the holy seed. Now, David, however, violated that law and sinned by marrying outside his tribe, as can be deduced from the description found in Song of Solomon chapter 4, where the description changes from Negro to mulatto as a result of the unholy mixture. Thou art fair, thy hair is as a flock of goats, not like a sheep, woolly and nappy. Verse 2, lips like scarlet or reddish. The description continues in chapter 5, verse 10, my beloved is white and ruddy. And verse 14 says his belly is as bright ivory. Therefore, when David committed the sin of intermarrying among the Canaanites, the holy seed became infected and could no longer travel down through Solomon. Says Ezra 9, 1 and 2. So let's read Ezra 9, 1 and 2. Says here, now when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to their abominations, even of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites. For they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Yea, the hand of the princes and rulers hath been chief in this trespass. Now it's Ezra 9, verses 1 through 2. But Solomon, who had set up Jerusalem, had an older brother named Adonijah. 1 Kings 1 through 5. So let's see what 1 Kings 1 through 5. Chapter 1, verse 5 says here, then Adonijah, the son of Haggai, exalted himself, saying, I will be king. And he prepared him chariots and horsemen and 50 men to run before him. It's by David through his Negroid wife Haggith. Adonijah was denied his birthright and was put into exile. But he later set up the kingdom of Judea to preserve the holy seed. Eventually, Solomon and his band forced these tribes that fell under Judah, namely Dinah, Asher, Dan, Benjamin, and Issachar, to migrate through Yemen into Ethiopia, spreading northward back into their original homelands in Africa. However, some of the tribal members stayed behind and set up Nazareth, Magdala, Galilee, where Negroes still reside today. Current research has revealed through DNA tests taken from the tombs containing the names and bodies of Mary of Magdalene, Martha, and Lazarus, that the people of the village of Magdala, where they lived, were Negroes. Plain and simple. Makes it easy. The original biblical Jews and Hebrews were a black people, African people, who were, excuse me, ruthlessly persecuted by the white man, Romans. Yeshua, a black Jew born during this time, had predicted that Jerusalem would be overthrown, the temple would be destroyed, and the black Hebrews will be scattered abroad. And we're going to read these verses. It says first one was Matthew 24. Oh, I love this. I love Matthew 24. Matthew 24, 2. Says here, and Yahushua said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And then 15 to 21 of that same chapter. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by the Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Shabbat day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor shall ever be. And of course, in Luke 21, 5 through 6, says the same thing. And that some spake of the temple, how it was adorned with goodly stones and gifts, he said, as for these things which ye behold, the days will come in which there shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that desolation thereof is nigh. This is verse 20 through 24. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto, for these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, not Islam, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So yes, Yahushua predicted all of this. It says the Roman-Jewish War in AD 66 marked the peak of this persecution and also the end of the original Black Jews, Israelites, as a nation with about 1.1 million Hebrews slain, causing the entire Lake of Galilee to turn red with blood and become littered with corpses. Millions of Black Jews fled to Africa, seeking to avoid destruction, but centuries later, their descendants were captured and sold into slavery in the Americas, in the Caribbean, bound in chains by slave traders. But the what do you want to call them? The camps like to say, Hebrews were already here. They were with the tribes with Reuben and all the other tribes. Clearly, that was false. Clearly, they like to say, oh, we were already here. When there was no mention in the scriptures, we came over to this land that we're in right now, the Caribbean or anything, until this time. Boy, I tell you. F those damn camps, man, for sure. Black Israelite immigrants from northern and eastern Africa merged with indigenous groups in western Africa and became the Fulani of Futa Jalon, Bornu, Kamen, and Lake Chad. They also formed the parent stock of groups like the Ashanti, the Hausa, the B'nai Ephraim, and the Mavumba or Mayomba. However, each of these groups suffered massive population declines during the Atlantic slave trade, while others were completely exterminated. One of the facts scripture provides about Israel is in relation to their physical appearance, which is described as resembling the sons of Ham. Ham means black, hot, and burnt. Israel is being compared to Ham's firstborn son, Cush, or Ethiopia in Amos 9. Are you not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Yasharal? Elohim calls the Israelites children of the Ethiopians, who are a known black people. If ancient Israel were a white-skinned people, as they like to say, it would have made more sense to compare them to another white-skinned nation like Romans or Greeks. But even then, the Romans and Greeks weren't even around at that time. But the scriptures compared Israel to another black-skinned people, being indistinguishable from the native Egyptians and Ethiopians, because Israel was and still is a black nation. Even Paul was mistaken for an Egyptian, but declared himself to be a Jew. And this was in Acts. This was in Acts 21, verses 37, 39. It says, and as Paul was to be led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain, may I speak unto thee? Who said, canst thou speak Greek? Art thou thou that Egyptian, which before these days madest an uproar, and leddest out into the wilderness 4,000 men that were murderers? But Paul said, I am a man which am a Jew of Tarshish, a city in Cilicia, a citizen of no mean city, and I beseech thee, suffer me to speak unto the people. Thought he was an Egyptian, and we all know the Egyptians are black, of course. Not in Hollywood, though. so many movies about Egyptians, and they are all fucking light-skinned, pale, whatever you want to call these creatures. Absolutely false. Absolutely false. Whew, I tell you. And then it goes on more about this in the next chapter, Acts 22, 2 and 3. And when they heard that he spake in the Hebrew tongue to them, they kept the more silence. And he saith, I am verily a man which am a Jew, born in Tarshish, a city in Cilicia, yet brought up in this city at the feet of Gamaliel, and taught according to the perfect manner of the law of the fathers, and was zealous toward Elohim, as ye all are this day. Boom. Proof. They thought he was an Egyptian. That means he was black, not white. Sorry. Moreover, ancient secular historians like Tacitus, we read about Tacitus in that white man thing I was reading about the last couple of weeks, agreed on the physical appearance of the Hebrew, stating it was a general opinion among the Jews, or among the Roman, that the Jews were an Ethiopian race. How can you get away from it? Tacitus also explained that the Hebrews were actually Egyptians who had left Egypt during a disease outbreak. In Roman times, Palestinian Israelites were classified among black Africans because it was practically impossible to differentiate between them. The name Hebrew was inherited through Abraham, ancestor of the Hebrews, who dwelt in the land of Ethiopia, Canaan. And these are in the verses of Genesis. These are the verses in Genesis here, chapter 13, verse 18. Says here, then Abram removed his tent and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto Yah. And then in 14:13, Genesis 14:13, says here, and there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram. And then in 1 Chronicles 11, 3 through 6, reads as follows. It says, therefore came all the elders of Israel to the king of Hebron, and David made a covenant with them in Hebron before Yahuwah, and they anointed David king over Israel, according to the word of Yah by Samuel. And David and all Israel went to Jerusalem, which is Jebus, where the Jebusites were, the inhabitants of the land. And the inhabitants of Jebus said to David, thou shalt not come hither. Nevertheless, David took the castle of Zion, which is in the city of David. And David said, whosoever smiteth the Jebusites first shall be the chief and captain. So Joab, the son of Zeruiah, went first up and was the chief. So there were two tribes, Benjamin and Judah, of the Ethiopian Canaanite Israelites that had inherited the name Jew. The term Jew and Gentile cover all the people on the earth. Jew in a metaphorical sense represents all Negroes who are symbolically called sheep, and Gentile represents all straight-haired people who are symbolically referred to as goats. In some places, sure, but not in the New Testament. The Gentiles that Paul was writing to were the Israelites who were in a Gentile state of mind. See, right there, that's where a lot of confusion happens right there, when they just take Gentile and then just, it's white people or everybody else. in context. It's got to be the context in which it's the Gentile is being spoken in. So John 10:27 says, here my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. Matthew 25:33 says, and he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. According to Genesis 9:25, Ham's son Canaan received a curse which caused all their lands, identity, and language to be given to the Israelites through Abraham. Genesis 9:25-27 reads, and he said, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, blessed be the Elohim of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Elohim shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Genesis 12:5. It says, and Abram took Sarai, his wife, and Lot, his brother, son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that had gotten into Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan. And into the land of Canaan they came. And Abram passed through the land unto the place of Shechem, unto the place of Moreh, and the Canaanite was then in the land. And Yah appeared unto Abram, and said, unto thy seed will I give this land. And there builded he an altar unto Yah, who appeared unto him. So there's the Canaan curse right there. Ham's other son, Japheth, also had sons who intermixed and produced a foreign race into the Negro race known as the Gentiles or Goyim, which translates as heathens. They are referred to as the people of Javan, Japheth's son, which is translated as Ionia or Greece. So the Greeks, according to the Bible, were the original Gentiles or nation other than the holy seed or chosen people. Makes sense, because that's the first time we saw the white people come up at that time. Elohim warns Gentiles not to boast against the natural branches, the Negroes, unless they, Gentiles, from the wild olive tree are taken out of the natural olive tree, which symbolizes the Negro family. And that is in Romans. Let me see here. That is in Romans 11:16-25. And I'm going to read that one because I really do like this scripture. 16-25. It says, therefore, if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou, being a wild olive tree, wert graft in among them, and with them partakest of the root and fatness of the olive tree, boast not against the branches, the Negroes, but if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. Thou wilt say, the branches were broken off, that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief, they were broken off. And thou standest by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. For if Yah spared not the natural branches, take heed, lest he also spare not thee. But behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of Yah on them which fell, severity, but toward thee goodness, if thou continue in his goodness, otherwise thou shalt also be cut off. And if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in, for Elohim is able to graft them in again. These are the northern tribes. For if thou wert cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and wert grafted contrary to nature into the good olive tree, how much more shall these, which be the natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree? Whew. For I would not, brethren, that ye should not be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part is happened to Israel unto the fullness of the Gentiles to come in. Whew. Powerful, powerful. And what are white people doing right now? Boasting. Everywhere they boasting. We the people. We Israel. The church is Israel now. That replacement theology is straight bullshit. They have come and they have turned themselves and wrote themselves in a book. They talking about rapture now. Wrote all kind of stupid stuff. Oh boy. But y'all's gonna deal with them in due time. Says here, these extracts provide enough evidence to show that the ancient Israelites were a black nation, but further proof will show that from the beginning of their history, they were a black-skinned people, starting with the patriarch Abraham, the father of the Hebrew Israelite nation. Abraham was a native from Ur of the Chaldeans, which is a country of Iraq. Archaeological discoveries have shown beyond doubt that the earliest inhabitants of southern Mesopotamia were Negroids. According to Sir Godfrey Higgins, a reliable English archaeologist, Freemason, and fellow of the Society of Antiquaries, the Chaldeans, quote unquote, the Chaldeans were originally Negroes. Professor Rudolph Windsor also writes the Chaldeans and the other people of that region were jet black in their complexion. White people. In that region, the average temperature is around 125 degrees. Mean to tell me, white folk, y'all can survive that bare with no shirt on? White people, y'all think y'all can survive 125? Y'all can barely survive 60. 125 degrees. So this means that the people from that part of the world need to have large in their skin to absorb the ultraviolet radiation from the sun. This in itself should confirm that they had to be a very dark-skinned people. So for Abraham to have come from that part of the world would mean that he also had very dark skin. This is all logical stuff here. No emotions, just straight logic. This was borne out by the soldiers who were fighting in Iraq near the area which Abraham originated. Some of the white soldiers were so badly burnt by the sun's rays that they were hardly able to walk, and in most cases had to use special coverings for protection. The soldiers have also reported that the natives are black and resemble black Americans. In other words, most of the people from the Iraqi town of Basra are black-skinned and look like present-day Africans. This is what Dr. Charles S. Finch III, MD, had to say on the subject. Quote, "We know from the fate of albinos all over Africa that unprotected skin, light skin, is subject to grotesque disfiguring cancers that are soon fatal. Melanin is a substance that gives the skin a dark brown or black pigment by absorbing ultraviolet radiation and scattering the ions produced in order to protect the skin from cancer." And speaking of the cancer, Israel right now, with all those white people, they have the highest skin cancer rates out of any country in the world. But if that was their land, they say they lived there for 3,000 years. Why are they? I mean, if they are quote unquote truly Yah's people, why would he put his people in a land that their skin cannot handle? That makes no sense. It would make zero sense. That Yah, with his infinite wisdom and knowledge, will put his own people in a land where their skin cannot handle the temperature. That would be absolutely asinine. And we know Yah is perfect. So obviously, the true people who were in that land were black. Done and done. I mean, we could drop the mic right here now, but no. I want to drive the stake in. I want to drive the stake in. It says here, biblical history records that the descendants of Abraham, namely Jacob, and his 12 sons and their wives, 70 in all, migrated from Canaan to Egypt. And during their sojourn, the children of Israel multiplied from that family of 70 to a nation of well over 2 million people by the time of the Exodus. To produce this massive number of people in such a short space of time could only have been made possible through intermarriages between the family of Jacob and the native black Egyptian population. Each one of Jacob's sons became a tribal nation, which made up the greater nation of Israel. They were Reuben, Dan, Simeon, Gad, Levi, Asher, Judah, Naphtali, Zebulun, Joseph, Issachar, and Benjamin. Ham's sons and their descendants, the ancient Egyptians, Ethiopians, Somalis, Canaanites, and so on, settled in and around Africa continent, including the so-called Middle East, which is part of the African continent. But they like to say the Middle East isn't part of Africa. Yeah, they call some Middle East. How can you name something out of a fucking coordinate? Middle East. Where is Southwest or North South? I don't know. How you gonna name a whole country called it Middle East? It's all part of Africa. Boy, white people. Anyways, the Israelites were the descendants of Shem, Noah's other son through Abraham, who was the father of Isaac, who is the father of Jacob, who had the 12 sons that became the ancestors of the Israelite nation, according to the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. Quote, the youngest son of Noah and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood, he became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites, end quote. Jacob's favorite son, Joseph, had stirred up jealousy and animosity among his brothers, resulted in him being sold as a slave to the Egyptians by Arab merchants. With the passage of time, Joseph became the governor of Egypt and second in command to Pharaoh. Pharaoh had a dream that foretold of a coming famine, which Joseph was able to interpret because he was an Israelite, giving Egypt the opportunity to make immediately recognize his brothers, but they, on the other hand, did not recognize him. As the biblical Egyptians were a black-skinned people and not white, like the person portraying Joseph in those movies, there is no doubt that Joseph was black. Because if he were white, like the world's Jews are today, his brothers would have easily recognized him from among the black-skinned Egyptians. There's another cut. That's another one. That makes so much sense too. If Egypt was black and Joseph was white, hey, there's our brother. That's our brother right there. Right there, there's our brother. But since we all know Egyptians are black, Joseph was black, how would you be able to recognize them? They all look the same, right? Anyways, oh man, I can't believe we have to actually read this, fam. We actually have to read this because there's some people out there who don't believe this. I can't believe we're actually reading this, but hey, we're gonna do it. Or at least be a little curious to find out why a white Hebrew was ruling in black Egypt. But his brothers simply thought that Joseph was just another native Egyptian. Furthermore, in Genesis 57-11, all the Hebrews are described as looking like the ancient Egyptians, as pointed out after Jacob had died, and all the Hebrews and Egyptians went down to the land of Canaan to bury him. Verse 7-8 states that all the elders of Pharaoh's house and all the elders of the land of Egypt, along with the Hebrews, went down. Verse 9 says it was a very great company. Verse 11 says that the Canaanites saw the funeral procession and proclaimed this is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians. It was a mixed gathering of Hebrews and Egyptians going to bury a Hebrew. Yet the Canaanites identified both groups as Egyptians simply because the Canaanites saw a great number of black people who all looked like native Egyptians. In short, they mistook these Hebrews for Egyptians. Again, if the Hebrews were a white people, as we have been led or misled to believe, the Canaanites, who were familiar with both the Hebrews and Egyptians, would have acknowledged them by saying something like this is a grievous mourning to the Hebrews and the Egyptians, since the white Hebrews would have stuck out from among the black Egyptians. More evidence can be gathered from the story of Moses. After the Hebrew population in Egypt had rapidly grown since the death of Joseph, they were no longer seen as friendly neighbors, but as hostile enemies by Egyptians, who then deceived or decided to enslave them. Because of their population growth, the Egyptian pharaoh issued a decree that all Hebrew males under the age of 2 should be killed. That's in Exodus 1. Moses was a Hebrew from the tribe of Levi, who spent 40 years in the house of Pharaoh, where he was raised from an infant as his grandson at the time when Pharaoh had declared that all Hebrew males should be killed at birth. That's in Exodus 2, verses 6 and verse 10. If the Pharaoh were a black-skinned descendant of Ham and the Israelites were white, how could Moses secretly survive in the Pharaoh's house among black-skinned Egyptians for 40 years, masquerading as Pharaoh's grandson without being discovered? Another cut. Are people not as logical as they like to say? I mean, I can't believe I'm reading this. This should be ABC 1, 2, 3. When you read the Bible, it should be ABC 1, 2, 3. But it's not like that. It should be ABC 1, 2, 3. This should make plain sense to anybody who reads the Bible. Anyways, this was only possible to pull that off because Moses was also black. Shocker. In the same way, a Canaanite could not tell the difference between the Hebrews and the Egyptians. Neither could Pharaoh make that distinction. Otherwise, Moses would have been killed when he was an infant. Duh. It is claimed that the Pharaoh who was on the throne of Egypt at the time of Moses' birth was Pharaoh Seti I, the father of Ramses II, the Pharaoh of oppression. Moreover, after issuing the royal decree himself to kill all Hebrew males, how could Pharaoh face or rule over his people if he knowingly had a white Hebrew baby living under his nose who had all the rights and privileges as his own family? Moses could only have survived for 40 years in the palace of the Pharaoh because he too was black like the Egyptians. Hollywood's misinformation about what the Hebrews and ancient Egyptians looked like in the movie 10 Commandments. This was Hollywood's corrupt idea of what Pharaoh Seti I looked like, that white boy. Moses had later killed an Egyptian whom he saw mistreating a Hebrew. And when Pharaoh heard about the incident, he wanted to kill Moses. As a result, Moses was forced to flee from Egypt for his life. And you can read about that in Exodus 2, 12 to 15. He journeyed to the land of Midian, Saudi Arabia, where he chased away some shepherds who were bullying 7 girls and helped them to water their flock. The sisters related what took place to their father when they returned home, stating that an Egyptian had saved them and watered their flock. Exodus 2, 16 through 19, you can read about that. Here, Moses, a Hebrew, was being described as a black-skinned descendant of Ham and Egyptian. So I actually kind of wanted to share my screen because they actually have a bunch of pictures of what they look like here. So I'm going to share my screen right quick. Hey, salute, Ariel. What it do, brother? What it do? All right. Okie dokie. Let's see. All right. All right. Perfect. Okay. So put a 1 in the chat if y'all can see this. I want to enlarge it so y'all can see the different pictures they have of what the white people did. I find it hilarious to me of what the white people did. Big salute, big salute. So if you can see my screen, give me a 1. All right, perfect. Thanks for that, Ogben. So right here on the left, see if I can get it bigger here. Oh, let me get my little icon out of there. Just full screen it. All right. Okay, so on the left, right here, in this area there, right there. So these are the pictures of a reconstructed image of King Tut, which were featured on a Discovery Channel program. The image was put together from the skeletal remains of King Tut using forensic science and sophisticated computer programs. The facial reconstruction of King Tutankhamun, based on the CT scans of his mummy, have produced images very close to the young pharaoh's ancient portraits, and even bears a strong resemblance to the golden mask of King Tut found in his tomb. Again, these images show that King Tut and the Egyptians of biblical times were a black people. Look at that head. Look at that skull. And it says also here in this little picture here, I don't know if y'all can see it. It says this is also a recently reconstructed image from the skeleton of the ancient Egyptian queen Nefertiti, who was one of the most famous queens of Egypt. It said the same methods were used to reconstruct King Tut were used to create this image of Queen Nefertiti, also revealing that she too was a black-skinned African woman. I mean, you can't lie with DNA, right? I mean, you can't lie. You can't lie. Anyways, further reading here. I'll just keep the screen in there so y'all can see. It says further proof that Moses was black-skinned can be found in Exodus 4:6-7, where Yah is demonstrating miracles to him, so he can prove to the children of Yasharel that he was sent by Yah. Moses is instructed by Yah to put his hand in his bosom, and when he takes it out, becomes leprous as white as snow. If Moses were a white man to begin with, what would have been the fascination of turning his skin from white to white? That's another drop mic right there. You can drop the mic right there too. And you try to tell yourself to Christians, and they look at you with stupor, like, oh my, what? It makes sense. This is why they don't like to read the Old Testament. This is why. Number black people all over the Old Testament, and you can tell. This is why they stick in that New Testament, because all they hear is Gentiles, Gentiles this and Gentiles that, and they think it's talking about them. So they stay in the New Testament. White people and all these other nations stay in the New Testament, because if they go to the Old Testament, it's going to be nothing but all kind of evidence of black people all throughout that Old Testament. So they pastors and they preachers and whatever, they keep them out of that Old Testament and say it's all done away with. New Testament only. New Testament only. Because they see them Gentiles, they see that word Gentile over the place. They think it's talking about them. And they think, hey, this is where I need to be at right here. This is why they stay out of the Old Testament. Makes sense. But since Moses, read on it, but since Moses and the rest of the Hebrews were black-skinned people, this would have been a very powerful miracle indeed to turn the black skin on his hand to white. Verse 7, Elohim told Moses to put his hand back into his bosom. And when he takes it out, it turns black like the other flesh, clearly showing that the rest of his skin color had to be opposite of white. That is black. This is another of Hollywood's inaccurate depiction of Moses, this white boy here, Charles Heston. For obvious reasons, this miracle could not be performed in the movies by a white actor. That's why they didn't do it. That's why they didn't show that in that movie. They skipped over it. I tell you, boy. Oh, man, these grapes are good. From what the historical records have shown concerning the physical appearance of the Hebrews, it is clear that this is a Hollywood portrayal of Moses. It is extremely inaccurate and can only be interpreted as racist distortion. Facts. Verse 8 of that Exodus 4, Elohim states that if the Israelites do not believe in the first sign of Moses' rod turning into a serpent, then they will believe in the second sign, which was a changing of his skin color from black to white. Elohim is clearly stating how powerful the second sign is, that it will make a believer out of the stiff-necked Israelites. Exodus 4:8 reads, and it shall come to pass, if they will not believe thee, neither hearken to the voice of the first sign, that they will believe the voice of the latter sign. According to the scriptures, history and archaeology, this image represents a more accurate portrayal of what the Hebrew prophet Moses would have looked like physically as a black man. And that's to the right here in this little image. I don't know if I can blow it up even better. I don't know. But you can clearly see dark. Dark. Numbers 12:1, Miriam and Aaron, Moses' sister and brother, spoke out against him because he had married an Ethiopian woman. Not because she was black, but because she was from a different nation. This act angered Elohim, who as a result punished Miriam by turning her skin tone leprous, white as snow. That is, from black to white. Again, if Miriam, a Hebrew, were white, what would have been the fascination in turning her white as opposed to black, as is falsely argued to be the case in relation to Canaan's curse? Yeah, that's the curse right there. Oh, they turned up. Yep. Nope, we got turned. They were turned from white to black. That's Canaan's curse. The black people are the children of Canaan. They're part of the Canaan's curse. The stupidity of humans nowadays. It irks me. Anyways, moving on. It is an established fact that the Bible always mentioned leprosy in the context of the skin turning white because of disease or in relationship to some specific wrongdoing. If Israel were a white-skinned people in ancient times, why do the scriptures only speak of them turning white or becoming white with leprosy in reference to their skin color? In one case, it was incitement to rebellion by Miriam, Moses' sister, in Numbers 12:1. And when the cloud had departed from above the tabernacle, suddenly Miriam became leprous, as white as snow. In another instance, it was sacrilege by Uzziah, king of Judah. 2 Chronicles chapter 20. Chronicles chapter 26, verse 19 reads, a second. That might be acting up, boy, I tell you. Anyways. Then Uzziah became furious, and he had a censer in his hand to burn incense. And while he was angry with the priests, leprosy broke out on his forehead. On another occasion, it was because of covetousness on the part of Gehazi, a servant of prophet Elisha, that caused him to become cursed and transformed to white for lying to Elisha when he took money and gifts from Naaman, the captain of the Syrian army. 2 Kings 5:27 reads, "Therefore the leprosy of Naaman shall cling to you and to your descendants forever." Then Gehazi went from Elisha's presence, and he was leprous, as white as snow. In Acts 21:37-39, it states that the apostle Paul was being led into a castle by a chief captain. Paul began to communicate with him in Greek, which left the captain in shock as he discovered that Paul was able to speak Greek. The captain asked Paul, "Are you not that Egyptian?" To which Paul responded, "I am a man of Israel," Hebrew. In order for the chief captain to mistake Paul for a black Egyptian, Paul had to have the physical appearance of an Egyptian, which also the case with the entire nation of Israel. As the scriptures indicate, Paul made it clear to the captain that he was an Israelite, which demonstrates that it was practically impossible to physically tell the difference between a Hebrew and an Egyptian or Ethiopian. And I get that a lot too when I speak Spanish. People be looking at me, "Aren't you black?" They be surprised when black men speak Spanish, huh? Or any other language. They be shocked when they see a black person knows all these other languages and stuff like that. Same exact thing. Acts 21:37. And as Paul was being led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain, "May I speak unto thee?" I read this earlier, but I'm just going to read it again back in context. Who said, "Canst thou speak Greek?" 38 reads, "Art thou not that Egyptian, or not thou that Egyptian which before these days madest an uproar and leddest out into the wilderness 4,000 men that were murderers?" Verse 39, but Paul said, "I am a man of Israel, of Tarshish, a city in Cilicia, a citizen of no mean city, and I beseech thee, suffer me to speak unto the people." Another example is borne out in the story of Joseph, Mary, and Jesus, who were told to flee to Africa, not for military protection, since at that time Egypt was a Roman province under Roman control, but because Egypt was still a black country populated by black people. So Joseph, Miriam, and Jesus would have been just another black-skinned family among other Negroes. And as they sought to hide from Herod, who wanted to eliminate baby Yahusha. If Yahusha and the other Hebrews looked like these pictures of the Christian Christ, these fake Christ people right here, it would have been impossible for him and his family to conceal themselves among black Egyptians without easily being detected. But since they both Hebrews and Egyptians were black, it would have been impossible to identify a Hebrew family from among the black Egyptians based solely on skin color. Therefore, Mary would not have looked like the woman here on the left in the red, white woman, but according to scriptures, history, and archaeology, more like the image on the right, as this presents a more accurate description of what the Hebrew Israelite Mary would have looked like, a black woman. For more confirmation regarding the color of the ancient Israelites, Acts 13:1 states, now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger, and Lucius of Cyrene and Manaen. In Greek and Latin, the word Niger means black, and it is still used today when referring to Negroes and Moors. Cyrene is a city in Libya, North Africa, and historians and scholars both agree that Cyrene was an area populated by black people during biblical times. Cyrene is also the place where Simon, the black man who helped Yahusha carry his cross, came from. You can read about that in Matthew 27:32, Mark 15:21, and Luke 23:26. It says here, keep in mind that the Hebrews were not dealing with any other race or people or racial group during that time outside of scattered Israel. Acts 11:19 states, now they which were scattered abroad upon the persecution that arose about Stephen traveled as far as Phoenicia and Cyprus and Antioch, preaching the word to none but the Hebrew only. This was before the apostles' ministry to the Gentiles started. So the question is, why were these black men there if the Hebrews were white people? They were Hebrews, just like Paul, who also there in the church with them at Antioch. Remember that Paul was mistaken for a black Egyptian. Niger and Lucius were prophets and teachers, and as the scripture points out, all the prophets and teachers were Hebrews or black people. Based on all the evidence this far, it should be sufficient to show that Yahusha, his disciples, relatives, prophets, teachers, and associates like Mary of Magdalene were all black people. Also, in many places throughout the scriptures, references are made about the Israelites who wore their hair in locks, long locks, similar to this Jamaican Rasta on the right here. Numbers 6 and 5, all the days of the vow of his separation, there shall no razor come upon his head until the days be fulfilled in the which he separateth himself unto Yah. He shall be holy and shall let the locks of the hair of his head grow. White people don't got locks. Puerto Ricans don't got locks. None of them Native Indians got locks. They got to put stuff in their hair to get the locks that we get naturally. All their hair is goat hair. So none of those people in the 12 tribe chart, besides the Negroes, are anything. They don't have locks in their hair. They all straight hair people. Goat hair. Goat hair. It's all is what it is. Judges 16:13 reads, and Delilah said unto Samson, who they say is a Puerto Rican, hitherto thou hast mocked me and told me lies. Tell me wherewith thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, if thou weavest the 7 locks of my head with the web. 7 locks, there it is. In verse 19 of that same chapter, and she made him sleep upon her knees, and she called for a man, and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head, and she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. African hair in its natural state is like the wool of a lamb, and if a black person does not cut or comb his hair, it will eventually lock together, forming huge mats all over the head, which can produce 7 or more locks comparable to those which Samson wore. Samson never cut his hair, but allowed it to grow until it formed into locks. On the left is an image of an ancient Greek man with locks, right there on the left. And on the right is an image of an ancient Egyptian descendant with locks, followed by an actor who played the role of Samson in the movie. I never seen this picture. Oh, they got a white boy to play. Oh my goodness. Wow. If that's not blatant, if that is not blatant, white boy Samson. White boy Samson. I don't see no locks in his hair. This nigga got straight. They could have at least made him look, they could have at least locked his hair or something. This nigga got this. Oh man. Wow. I've never seen a Samson movie or anything like that. Whew. Wow. That's funny. That is funny. It says, according to the information provided, Samson could never have looked like the image of the actor on the right. Because if Samson were a white man, then his hair would have grown long and straight without locking together. But according to scripture, Samson, a black Israelite, had 7 locks, which clearly indicate that he was of the Negroid stock. Yahusha is called the Lamb of God, according to the Bible, with his woolly nappy hair compared to lamb's wool, and his feet to the color of burnt brass, as if they burned in a furnace. This image of Yahusha was found in the catacombs of Rome. This little small thing. It looks blurry. I don't think I can get it any bigger, to be honest. This is blurry. This information has been deliberately neglected, suppressed, and distorted within European and American historical. I lost my place here. All right. Which are usually favored with race, prejudice, and hatred. Modern history books intentionally de-emphasize and leave out the history of the kingdoms founded by the 10 tribes of Israel, such as Phoenicia, Carthage, Scythia, and Parthia, for example, while at the same time advancing in the most eloquent terms the modern history of white empires. The main goal is to reconstruct everything African into a European context, and we read about why they do that last week, and then provide black people with a fabricated history about themselves. In order to hide the truth, libraries in Egypt, Africa, Mesopotamia, Africa, and Ethiopia, Africa, were sacked, looted, and burnt to the ground. Bitches. Compared to the ground of the fabricated philosophical Greco-Roman theories and distortions, the original African truths were subtly replaced by myths based on these so-called new European revelations. This act has continued throughout the centuries, with Greece and Rome spreading propaganda, followed later by Germany and England, with America also coming on aboard to help enhance the de-Africanization of Black history, culture, and truth. This is why we get that watered down Black history when it was growing up. We got that watered down Black history. All our history only began when we got to these shores. Nothing before where we came from, nothing about all of that where we came from. Nope, your history, black man, started in 1619. Quote unquote. That's when our history started. We had no history before then. It's like we was just born here in this country. So stupid. For over 200 years, white scholars and historians who have been seeking to discredit the African legacy have attempted to shift black people out of Egypt, remove Egypt from Africa, and Africa from world history. They began teaching that Egypt is in the Near East, the Middle East, the Mediterranean, and even the Fertile Crescent, while at the same time calculatingly refusing to teach the world that Egypt is and always has been on the Africa continent. When Europeans gained complete control of the African scriptures and perfected the printing press, an organized plan to exploit the concept of racial distinction within the African family was initiated with the idea to suppress and eliminate the truth concerning the African Bible. White publishers have been controlling everything written and taught about Africa, including the publishing of books which taught that the ancient Egyptians were a white race. Bullshit. But as soon as Black people began to publish their own work, and promote their true history, suddenly the white world has become interested in setting Black people straight by insisting that the ancient Egyptians were neither Black nor white, but more like the Arabs of today. That olive color. That olive color. That olive color. Fuck out of here. The fact of the matter is that the Arabs invaded Egypt long after the ancient Egyptian civilization had collapsed and faded away by the 7th century AD. When y'all put it down to rest. Crazy. Therefore, they have no more claim or connection to ancient Egypt as the Europeans have to ancient America. It says below is a series of images related to one Egyptian family to show the Blackness flowing through the lineage. This is part of the family tree of Queen Tai and her husband Amenhotep III, who are the parents of Pharaoh Akhenaten. The first image shows Queen Tai and Amenhotep III seated together, followed by a close-up of Queen Tai and then her husband Amenhotep III on the right. Look like Black folk to me. And they ain't wearing no shirt. The guy has no shirt. No shirt. White people couldn't be able to do that out there in Egypt. Here is their son, Pharaoh Akhenaten, with his wife, the famous Queen Nefertiti, followed by a stone carving of her next to her reconstructed face, which was put together using forensic science and advanced computer programs with Pharaoh Akhenaten on the right. Black. Look at those full lips. Full lips. White people, y'all don't got them lips. Sorry. Y'all don't got them lips unless y'all got to go buy them. Below are two of Akhenaten and Nefertiti's daughters. The first one is that of Meritaten, and the other image displays another daughter, which is carved into a temple wall. Note their hairstyles, which featured a popular cornrow style. And who got that? Who has this? We do. We do. So, who are these fake white Jews? We're going to go find out. If the original Jews were Black, where did these Caucasians who now call themselves Jews come from? And we all know, we told you before, they were Turks. Turks. Told you last week that they were part of the Turkish family. There are two main types of white Jews, the Khazars and the Edomites, who are descendants of Esau. That's what they say. Esau was the albino, fraternal twin brother of Jacob, who was the father of the original Black Israelites. I don't know if he was albino. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. I don't know. A lot of people say he was albino. But I'm thinking if they say he was ruddy, and David was ruddy. So I just think they were just dark with reddish undertones, in my opinion. I don't know. Anyways, that's a debate for another day. The Edomites, Idumeans, were in constant battle with the Israelites, and they even fought against them during the Roman-Jewish War. The Khazars were a fierce, warlike, nomadic people of Turkish stock who originated in Central Asia. Remember, we talked about that last week too, how they were all Asians, and are the descendants of Esau's grandson, Amalek. The Khazars invaded Europe and stretched their empire west into Poland, Hungary, Romania, and Bulgaria, south to the Caucasus Mountains, east to the Ural Mountains, near Russia, and north close to St. Petersburg. Their thriving empire was, however, located between two major superpowers, the Eastern Roman Empire and Byzantium Christianity, and the followers of Islam. The Khazar Empire, now representing a third force, recognized that it could only maintain its political and ideological independence by not becoming subordinate to the authority of the Roman Empire or to the Caliph of Baghdad. So it rejected both Christianity and Islam. The Khazars, who were a pagan civilization and spoke a Turkish language, initially believed in Tengri shamanism and brought their religious practices with them, which was an admixture of phallic and other forms of idolatrous worship that was practiced in Asia by other pagan nations. That's what they put into their Talmud. That bullshit Talmud came from a lot of their shamanism here and other religious practices that they believed in before the Judaism. Shalom, Sister Bees. How you doing out there? Says here, this form of worship triggered perversion and immorality, which Khazarian King Bulan could no longer tolerate. So in the 7th century, he decided to put an end to this phallic practice and all other forms of idolatrous worship and make one of the 3 monotheistic religions the new Khazarian state religion. After a historic meeting with representatives of the 3 monotheistic religions, King Bulan adopted and embraced Talmudism. That's where the Talmud comes from. And as it was known then, Judaism now, as the new state religion, thus becoming Jewish. It's in the name, Jewish. Esh. Not a Jew. But this group clearly did not originate from the house of Israel, obviously, and were not the descendants of Abraham. King Bulan and 4,000 of his feudal nobles were soon reformed by these rabbis, and almost immediately afterwards, phallic worship and all other forms of idolatry were prohibited. They had to act the part. The Khazarian king invited many rabbis from Babylonia to come and open synagogues and schools to instruct the populace in the new state religion, then ordered his subjects to follow in his footsteps. This was how Judaism became the official state religion of the Khazars, who currently make up 90% of the so-called Jews of today. When King Bulan was converted in the 7th century, he ordered that the Hebrew characters, which he saw in the Talmud and other Hebrew documents, should become the alphabet of the Khazar language. And after converting to the laws and statutes of Judaism and learning Hebrew, see, they didn't know any of this stuff. They didn't know. The Khazars settled in regions throughout the North Caucasus and the Ukraine. They studied the Torah and Talmud, learned to speak and write in a form of Hebrew, observed Hanukkah, Pesach, which is Passover, and the Shabbat, practiced circumcision, and adopted Jewish names. See, it's just a scam. Imposters, a scam. Straight up scam. If you even just look into the history of this, you can find this out. But people just take people's word for it. And you got all these countries out there giving them money every year off a bullshit ass, blown up, fake Holocaust. Yeah, they may block me for that one. I don't care. Whatever. I'm letting it be known. Wasn't real. Anyways, keeping going. The Khazars converted to Judaism as a political move. See, it was a political move. Labeling themselves as Zionists and Jews to deceive the world while they advance their plans for global and political dominion, which they have at this point. Under the cover of this adopted state religion, the Khazars quickly developed a desire to possess a national Jewish motherland, an idea which took the shape of a messianic type movement in the form of a Jewish crusade promoted by Solomon ben Duji, a Khazar Jew, who then proceeded to communicate with all Jews from neighboring nations with the intention of forcibly suppressing the Palestinian people. But they the people, huh? The Khazars convinced themselves that they were entitled to Palestinian land that which their ancestors have never owned because they were in fucking Asia. That's where they're from. Possessed nor occupied previously. but with the help of a flawed decision by the United Nations, who they control. In 1947, this was after World War II, I believe, to divide up Palestine, the Khazars were able to proclaim themselves the state of Israel. Bullshit. That's how I know it's not the land. That's how I know that little land that they have was not the whole land. And proceeded to randomly confiscate territory belonging to those who had legally owned and occupied that land for thousands of years. So the United Nations, through a violation of their own charter, were responsible for the dispossession of more than 4 million Palestinians in order to create a new nation which did not have any ancestral or existing rights to that territory. From that point onwards, there has been conflict in that region. But they the people, right? They the people, though, right? Where they Messiah at? They said their Messiah is here, by the way. We all know it ain't our Messiah, but they say their Messiah is here right now, walking amongst them somewhere. That's what they say. But according to Arthur Kessler, a Jew, such a right is not based on the hypothetical origins of the Jewish people, nor on the mythological covenant of Abraham with Elohim. It is based on international law. Get the fuck out of here. There was not a single Khazar who had any ancestors who had ever set foot on that land, either from the beginning of time or during Old Testament history. Yet they sought and received support for their armed insurrections in Palestine against the Palestinian people because they controlled and owned all of those people in the United Nations. The banking that they do, they bankrupted a bunch of countries. They put them in debt, so they were able to control a whole bunch of countries to allow them to get their land. According to Kessler, it was no accident or coincidence that the Khazars chose Talmudism from among the three prominent religions of the day: Islam, Christianity, and Talmudism, which is simply another term for Phariseeism. Remember what Yahusha said to the Pharisees: "You are of your father the devil." In Revelation 2:9 and 3:9, he said he knows the blasphemy of those calling themselves Jews and are not, recognizing that there will be other groups impersonating the true Jews. Revelation 2:9 reads, "I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan." Revelation 3:9 states, "Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee." So before this is all said and done, these fake Jews are going to be kissing our feet, baby. Kissing our feet. Groups like the Khazars, Edomites, and other racial groups make up modern Jewry today. Although the Black Hebrew Israelites are the true descendants of ancient Israel, but this is a well-kept secret. Oh, but we waking up, though. No matter how many times they try to suppress the movement, we gonna wake up. You can't stop y'all's train, baby. This train don't got no brakes. The Hebrew Israelites are not known to the world as true Israel because of the fake whitewashing, because they were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth as a consequence of slavery resulting from their refusal to keep Yah's laws, statutes, and commandments. Information collected from Jewish documents on the secret relationship between blacks and Jews by the Nation of Islam reveals a massive Jewish involvement in the Atlantic slave trade. Well, that's a whole nother topic of discussion right there. These Jewish slave traders are the counterfeit Jews or Khazars, the despised white Khazars who usurped the real Jews after learning all they could from them before replacing them. Some historians now recognize that the majority of Eastern so-called Jews are really Khazars and who have no Semitic roots at all. Yet if you talk bad about them, they call you an anti-Semite, but they have no type of Semitic blood. Hilarious. They're of Japhet stock. Literally, read the genealogy of Japhet. Ashkenazi is right up in there. I mean, it's right there, but nobody reads the Old Testament or reads at all. They just listen to what people say on the pulpit. Anyways, reading on, they are imposters. However, previously suppressed information is fast emerging about this warlike tribe of whites that rose to power in Eastern Europe, who were actually hated by the other whites they conquered because of their brutal, vicious treatment towards them. And they're still doing that brutal, vicious treatment with the banks. I mean, look what they did to the regular white people. They bankrupted their own people that look just like them. And they're doing it right now. They're creating all this shortages and all this stuff. Of course, this is all y'all's plan, but they consider themselves a different class, even amongst the other white people. They call themselves their own class of white. They don't even like the other white people, which is why they're doing all these things. It says here, these historical records make it clear that the majority of white European Jewry are not Hebrews in their biological or ancestral sense, but are the descendants of who created or who converted to Judaism during the Greco-Roman and medieval periods. Professor Roland B. Dixon states emphatically, quote, the great majority of all Jews, Ashkenazi, today are Semites only in speech, and their true ancestry goes back not so much to Palestine and Arabia as to the uplands of Anatolia, Armenia, the Caucasus, and the steppes of Central Asia. We read about that last week. And their nearest relatives are still to be found in these parts today. Caucasian Jews are not the lineage of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but are rather a religious fraternity that adheres to the ethnic tradition of a people whose origins are inextricably linked to Black Africa. The majority of the so-called Jews in the world who are of Eastern European descent shows that their ancestors come from Volga, from the Caucasus region, once believed to be the cradle of the Aryan race, but not from Canaan. They are therefore more closely related genetically to the Hun, Uyghur, and Magyar tribes than to the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And we read about that last week. I love knowledge. I love it. It all coming together. Y'all see how y'all works? All the puzzle pieces are coming in together right now perfectly. It's all building up upon each other. All praise y'all. Thank you, y'all, for the knowledge. However, all Jews that lived in Europe were not Khazar converts or coverts, although 90% of them were. There were still some original Africans who lived in the environs of the Caucasus, besides others who had migrated to the Black Sea long before there was a Caucasian. The Khazars who lived throughout Europe quickly became the new models for religious icons and images created during the Middle Ages. They had reasons to misrepresent the truth so as to develop white supremacy, which they reinforced by inserting pictures of themselves throughout the Bible on religious calendars and by producing lily-white television programs and religious movies. As a result, this present generation assumes, without any facts whatsoever, that the ancient Hebrews were white, even through the original icons which portrayed the Hebrew Israelites show them to be Black. These whitened false images of the Israelites may have also emerged because of the racial prejudices exhibited against the Moors and other Blacks who ruled Europe at various times. Septimius Severus, a Black descendant of the Phoenicians and a general in the Roman army, was assisted by Black fighters under his command in 193 AD, who conquered Rome during the Dark or Middle Ages, taking control of Europe, which was once held by whites, and placed that power into the hands of Black rulers who ruled in different parts of Europe at different times during the Middle Ages. As a result, European hatred and resentment towards Black people, that's where it comes from, guys. That's where it comes from. And I told you about that in the other two lessons. The albinism and being segregated amongst their villages and everything like that. Being treated differently by the melanated folk. That resentment. That grew into a resentment, which is why they furthered the affliction. As Yah has said in the scriptures, they furthered the affliction. And this is the foundation for them furthering the affliction, the resentment of Black people, because they were being ruled by Black people. Because of this action, as pointed out by David McRitchie, the Black giants of the Welsh and other tales are hateful and horrid. The Welsh Black oppressor and the Black Knight of Lancashire are fierce tyrants, the cruel foes of all white people. See how they described us? Because of this, anything that opposed European ideas or belief was now negatively linked to the color black. Yep, everything negative in this world is attributed to black. White is pure and good and righteous. Black is the complete opposite. And they have done that. And they have done that systematically, guys. Systematically to our people. That anything that we see that is black, we link it to something bad. Crazy, ain't it? Crazy. Crazy. And those, oh my goodness, such as black male, that's a bad thing, black sheep, black market, black list, black out, black magic, black death, to mention a few. Even the idea that sin is black implicitly leads to the misconception that Yah is white. Therefore, Satan must be black. Wow. Yet the black people who are now rejected because of their black skin and woolly hair, prophesied obviously in the curses, are the very people who gave the world its arts, sciences, language, those civil and religious systems that still govern the world today. It must therefore be made clear that any colonial excuse me, education will attempt to completely destroy a people's belief in their heritage, language, unity, original names, and in themselves, because they will begin to distance themselves from their culture while determined to identify with all that is foreign or alien to them because of the foreign educational system. By the way, the word Semite originates from the Latin prefix semi, which means half black and half white, or mulatto, though black is still dominant genetically speaking. The Semitic came into being as a result of crossbreeding between the black inhabitants of the Holy Land and the white northern invaders. While many Semites, like the Jews and Gypsies, have mixed so much with whites that they have now forgotten or simply deny their African roots, racism and white supremacy will not let them forget this, no matter how light-skinned they become. This was evidenced when Hitler authorized their destruction, because they were classified as a non-white people who originated in Africa. Even the word gypsy means out of Egypt. According to the scriptures, Yah will call his people from the north, south, east, and west to return them to Israel. Many and most of the political Zionists in Christian circles believed this took place in 1947. Wrong. When Israel, a land without a people, for a people without a land, became sovereign. But this prophecy is yet to be fulfilled. Facts. The prophecy of Ezekiel 37 talks about the spiritual resurrection of the people of Israel, who will be perpetually betrothed to their Elohim in truth and righteousness. So there you have it. There you have it right there, man. I mean, come on. Come on. How can you not see what I just read and be stupefied on how much we were lied to? How much we were lied to, fam. We was lied to. For our entire life, we were lied to, saying that our history started here, saying that Jesus was white. All of these lies, all of them were fake. All of them. And I just read there. I just read all of that. That literally took everything that you were taught and turned it upon its head. Turned it upon its own heads. I mean, it's plain to see. that the world that we live in today is absolutely false. It's a matrix. It's a matrix, man. It is a matrix. And it is our duty as Israelites to awaken ourselves out of the matrix and come back to Yah. Read the book. Read the book. It's our history, for us, by us. There's no white people in that book. It is all about us. It's all about us, fam. It's all about us. The entire book is about us. Nothing else, nobody else is about us. But yet, the white people would have you believe that it's their book. They have whitewashed it so much. Me growing up, man, my parents, well, at least my mom, she was part of the church and everything growing up and everything like that. We had white Jesus on the wall. Bible books that are for kids. White Jesus is there. White people are in there. White Egyptians are in there. You got the movies, Gods of Egypt. Nothing but white people in there. Not a single black person. You got the Ten Commandment movie. Nothing but white people. And it's insane to me, right? That you got all these people. You got all this history that's out there, archaeology, that continues to throw shit in their faces, saying that we all black. That they were black. The Egyptians were black. The Israelites were black. And yet the white folks, quote unquote Christians, still continue to believe that this whole book is about them. That everything was white. And they can never explain to you where black people come from. Some of them still use it. Oh, you guys were part of Canaan's curse. That we were all white, and then Canaan's curse, we turned you black. That's where y'all came from. That makes absolutely no sense. There is no sense. Makes no sense. It's not even mentioned in the scriptures. None of it. And I continue to argue, make arguments to them, and they continue to not believe me. I give them scriptures. I give it all to them. My people too. My own people. Black people. I give them scriptures. I'm like, hey, we the Israelites. That's us. They cannot believe it. They have been Stockholm syndrome, man. We got Stockholm syndrome. We love whitey. We love whitey, but Yah has put a different spirit in me, man. Like I literally don't want to be I don't want to be connected to these people at all. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want no friends. I don't want to have no connection with these people. I want to completely separate myself from these people. And I want my people to completely separate from them too. But they are so entrenched in this white supremacist culture. This whole white supremacist culture, man. And it's sad. It's sad. My mom and dad entrenched. They can't come away from it. My cousins can't come away from it. Hell, one of them married a Japanese girl while he was in the Navy. His mom said, hey, that's good, son. I wish he would have at least allowed me to talk to him before he got married. I would have told him that is a bad idea. Now they got, 2 or 3 kids? She already had a kid. You see, we just become entrenched and mingled with these people, man. And they ruin us and they take us away from Yah and to their abominable pagan traditions. No matter how much evidence I show, no matter how many books I tell them to go read, they don't want to read, man. My interest in reading has gone up tenfold. All I do is read, man. I'm always reading something. Like, I've stopped watching TV as much, playing video games as much. A lot of my time is devoted now to reading, whether it's the scriptures or other books. I read. I like to know about stuff. I want to know about the true history and stuff like that. That's like my passion right now. And I try to tell people different, simple, easy books to read, but they don't want to read, man. But they will sit there and scroll Instagram for hours upon hours, seeing nothing but nonsense. They will scroll on there for hours, watching TikTok for hours. And in that time, they could have at least read a couple chapters of the books that I recommend. They will read Twitter all day. They will be on Reddit all day reading dumb shit that has absolutely nothing to do with anything. Being distracted. They love distractions. You got the most powerful computer in your hand, in your pocket, and you use it for nonsense. It's so stupid. You got a whole library. You can have a whole library in your pocket, and yet you choose to take selfies all day. You choose to rant about dumb shit all day. Go on YouTube crying about dumb shit, complaining, whining about nonsensical topics that does nothing to further the truth. It makes no sense. Which is why sometimes like I try to separate myself from those, even my own people, man. You know, they try to be my friend and everything like that. And I try to test them to see if they even know about the Most High. You know, just try to test them. Like, hey, man, just read Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68. Take you about 5-10 minutes to read that. Depending on how fast you read. Depending on how fast you read. But no, they don't do it. Hey, man, did you read those chapters? Oh, no, I ain't get to it, man. No, I ain't get to it. Nigga, it takes like 5 minutes to read, bro. You mean to tell me you can't take 5 minutes out of your time? 5 minutes. It's 24 hours in a day. You can't take 5 minutes and for the Lord, man? You can't take 5 minutes out for y'all? But y'all will take hours out watching that gay shit, football and basketball. Y'all will watch that all day. Watch the playoffs all day. Eating chicken wings and fucking french fries and all whatever the hell y'all be eating. And y'all will sit down and park y'all ass in front of the TV all day. But you can't take 5 minutes out for your creator to find out the truth about why you are in the condition you are in. It is abominable. But the Most High sees you. He knows your heart. He sees you. He closes up your heart. He closes up your ears, your eyes. Because you don't want this truth. It's too hard for y'all. I'm trying to shake the cobwebs out of your brain to get you to see for the first time. You haven't used your eyes for real. Morpheus put it perfectly in the Matrix when Neo said, my eyes hurt. He said, that's because you never used them. You haven't used them. You've been blinded every day by Hashatan and his minions. Lied to, watching news, reading their magazines, looking at their TV programs, they're reading their books of deception, of true history. But you will refuse to take 5 minutes out your day to read a couple of scriptures that's going to tell you and show you why we are in the mess that we are in. And to give you some damn hope. Because he's finna redeem us again. And just look around you, people. Every day there's something that's happening that's bringing down this kingdom. This Babylonian system is going down bit by bit. It's not going to be a one-day event. Y'all has to slowly but surely He has to dismantle it slowly. He can't just take it away. These white people will revolt, as you see him doing it right now. He has to take it step by step. Step by step. That's what he has to do. But the white people, they're feeling it. They're feeling the vibrations in the matrix. They're feeling that their kingdom is falling down, which is why you got all these Karens out here acting up, because they feel it. You got all these white people that are around the world right now, around the world, that are protesting against this pandemic that Yah has sent, Yah has allowed Hashatan to send forth. The curses are slowly coming off of us, and it's going on to them. Going on to them. You see it? They're protesting because they don't have the same freedoms that they used to have. They're being treated like niggas all around the world, being told you got to wear a mask. Who had to wear a mask in slavery? We did. When we came off them ships, we had masks and chains on. We had iron masks and chains on. Now who wearing masks right now? They wearing masks. White people got to wear a mask. And they are protesting against that because it's taking away their freedom. Now they're being segregated by the unjabbed and the jabbed. Who was segregated back in the day? We were. We were segregated back in the day. Colored goes to this water fountain. White people go to this water fountain. Now they're being segregated by the jabbed and unjabbed. And they can't take it. Remember, this is only 2 years. We are not even 2 years in the pandemic right now. Pandemic at least started here in America, March 2020 when the lockdown started? It is not even 2 years yet, and these white people are going insane. We have been enslaved for centuries. They can't even take 2 years. We have endured for centuries with the Most High's grace. They cannot even endure 2 years. Government telling them what they can and can't do. They've been doing that for us for centuries. We've been told where we can't go, what we can do, what we can do, you know. Now they're being told, you can't go here, you can't go there. We got dogs sick on us. I showed you a couple weeks ago where they sick dogs on them. Slowly but surely, the curses are being transferred, which is why you see them on the streets protesting. Who protested back in slavery with the Million Man March? We did. Now you see them doing it. The power is slowly coming back to us. I feel it. I don't know about y'all, but I feel it. White people see me. I feel a sense of respect come from them. They all say good morning all of a sudden nowadays. Before, they would just ignore my black ass. Now all of them felt like they got to say good morning to me and try to strike up a conversation and whatnot to see what's going on in my head and whatever. They are sensing the royalty, the truth. The veil is coming down, family. The veil is coming down. The hope that Yah's coming back it's true. It's there. He's doing it now. But he has to take one kingdom down first before he rises up another one. You cannot set up a kingdom in another man's kingdom. You got to take one down first before you raise up another one. And you got to understand, this is a very intricate system which has been around for centuries, thousands of years, millennia. This system, this Babylonian system, has been around. This is not going to be a day event. You gotta fix the minds of your people. You gotta undo all the bullshit in their heads, the trauma. You gotta connect everything back the way it was before on a massive scale. You gotta take away that Stockholm syndrome. You gotta get the real truth in them to wake them up fully. There's a lot of trauma, man. Even though we didn't go through slavery, this generation, my generation or whatever, we didn't go through slavery or anything like that. But the trauma is still there. You can still feel it. I still feel iffy around white folks. Before, even when I was going out with Gentiles, I still felt a sense of dread. That's embedded in the DNA. Y'all has to erase that. It's gonna be some time. I don't know if I'll be able to see y'all coming down. I don't know. I don't know when it's gonna happen. Nobody knows. But you can see the prophecies coming true. Euphrates drying up. Ukraine and Russia about ready to throw down. Y'all got 2 pit bulls out there, man. He's holding back. He's holding back Russia and China and Iran. He's got 3 pit bulls he's holding back by the chains. He's about ready to unleash them. If Russia goes into Ukraine, that is the beginning of World War III, ladies and gentlemen. Because the retaliation is going to be from United States and all its allies. And that's going to be the start of that Armageddon, that World War III that they're talking about. If Russia invades Ukraine, if that happens, that is the start of World War III. Y'all is effectively moving the chess pieces on the board. If Russia is fighting against Ukraine, China is going to be on their side. Iran's going to be on their side. We are literally minutes away from a worldwide war again. Minutes away. It feels like they're right there on the border. And whenever y'all unleashes them, then and there we go. But it is happening, man. Prophecies are coming to pass. As soon as that Euphrates dries up, there is no stop. At that point, y'all let them loose and boom, you got Eastern Europe versus Western Europe. There you go. Right there, that Valley of Megiddo, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. All we can do is watch, keep the law, statutes, and commandments, be a light to the world to show what true righteousness is, and just have faith in Yah that we are going to get redeemed. That's the only thing we can do. Keep our heads down and out. This is white folk business, man. Y'all got the white folks fighting each other. We don't need to be a part of none of this. All we need to do is stick together. That's all we need to do. And with that being said, I'm going to shut it down. It has been another fruitful episode, in my opinion. I learned so much. I hope you guys are edified as much as I was. All praise to Yah for handing down the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that I was able to clear up some more misconceptions about who the real Jews were. Shalom to everybody who's in the chat. I'm going to do one more roll call. Ben, shalom. K. Judah, shalom. Sister Na Maria, shalom. Sister Amina Coleman, shalom. Sister B, shalom. Monster Moshe, shalom. Ariel, shalom, my brother. And to all the 12 tribes worldwide, hang in there. Endure to the end. We almost home, man. We on the last stretch. We on the final stretch, my family. Keep the faith. Don't fall away. Stay on the narrow path. I know it's hard. I know having to wake up and go to work, having to be around these people, having to do these stupid jobs and everything like that. It's almost over. We're going to be in the land soon, y'all willing. We ain't going to be doing no more work. We're going to be sitting back, drinking lemonade, chilling in the land. It's almost done. It's almost done. We got a little bit more to go. We got a little bit more to go. Don't lose the faith, family. Stay firm. Stay 10 toes down for y'all. Because he got you. He will not let harm come to you if you keep yourself righteous. This has been another episode of Behind the Veil with Bezale'el, your host, humble host. Y'all willing? We'll do it again next week, where we're going to go more into our history of being black. The original Israelite Jews were black. That will be the next episode. We're going to go more in depth than we did before. So with that being said, shalom, family. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. And you guys have a blessed and highly favored week. This has been Bezale'el Ben Yahudah. I'm going to leave you with a song from Lorvins. It's called Hebrews to Negroes. Shalom.
Up. We've been through the fire, and now it's time to wake up. We're about to go higher. From Hebrews to Negroes, from Hebrews to Negroes, from Hebrews to Negroes, from Hebrews to Negroes. It's been a long time coming, but we here now. Scattered all around the world, hidden in the midst of the nations. We was taken from far away, across the Atlantic, the slave trade. Yeah. They came in disguise with their Lord. Their intentions was evil for sure. What kind of people that would do such a thing like this? Yeah. Stacking humans on top of each other, ripping children from their mothers, and making example of their fathers. Oh, honey, is this up? We've been through the fire, and now it's time to wake up. We're about to go higher. From Hebrews to Negroes, from Hebrews to Negroes, from Hebrews to Negroes, from Hebrews to Negroes. Sometimes it hurts so bad, the situation of my people, it's sad. They move around like the walking dead, no assurance of their life cause they live with fear. Who are them cursed people? They always at the bottom, those people. Head shaking at those people. Every nation hates those people. We here now, stand, my people. We coming into our heritage. You better wake up, this ain't no fairy tale. Our Elohim, he's here. He's restoring our stolen identities. And you know what this really means. We up next. Oh, honey, is this up? It's up. We've been through the fire. Now it's time to wake up. Wake up. We're we grow.